So I'm patting myself on the back, and I'm going to have mithais, though I am a diabetic. Yeah. So the question you asked, how can we make children more awesome, uh, you know, uh, cells of them, of what they already are? I think all children are awesome. And it is when they grow up and become idiots like me that the problem starts. So one way is to tell stories, through stories. And what Rituparna was telling was, that moralistic preaching and all. Now, what happens is when I mention the word value, there are many publishers and editors, not Richa, who start shuddering because they associate value with spoon feeding, moralistic, preachy, and didactic. I would like to say that you can tell a story which is entertaining, which is full of fun and musty, and very subtly tuck in a value which flows seamlessly into the narrative, so that the child even doesn't know that you are trying to be preachy and all that, but yet he imbibes and internalizes that particular value. One example I want to give is the films of Rishikesh Mukherjee. I think they have great entertainment. If your stories are not entertaining, the child would just shut off, either visually or, I mean, either in the AV medium or any other medium. But Rishida, what did he do? He gave you loads and loads of entertainment and a value in every movie of his, Anand or Abhiman or Namak Haram or what have you. So, what are the values we should reach out with to the children? For me, is empathy. Now I can almost hear some of the PRCI members groaning that here again he starts off with empathy, because I had curated a webinar on empathy, but I believe that resilience, trust, and most important, empathy, especially in these fractured and difficult times. Recently, a book of mine came out in which I told the story of a family, of my family, from the viewpoint of my Labrador. Now, my Labrador, who's called Aryan, is the most intelligent person in the house, but that's not stretching it too far because most of us are dumbos. So, for 3 months, can you imagine? For 99 days, two 50-year-old teenagers and two uber cool 20 somethings were together, closeted in one single house. I thought it would be World War III plus, but we had a blast because uh, every moment was soaked in love, shaped in empathy, and sheathed in memories. So now Aryan talks about all that, and he also talks about those fun moments. When suddenly he was dreaming about his partner with or without benefits, who's called Priyamvada or Pri. When suddenly he hears a din and rushes out, and he finds that everybody is bagging thalis like they've gone crazy and all that, and his papa, who's one of the most horrible singers, is trying to belt out a tune and all. So these moments of fun are there. And yet the undercurrent is empathy. And the fact is that sometimes in the worst of times, or rather, the worst of times bring out the best in us. And the empathy here is not only for the human beings, also for nature. So what I've tried to convey is that nature is not the intruder, it is humans who are the intruders. And we should reach out to the young generation, the new Gen X, with the kind of value that says very clearly that you guys are not the owners of environment, but you are the custodians. And among us, we have Richa, many of whose stories are brilliantly told, and they underscore values like resilience and empathy.
Excellent. Absolutely. So, of course, it plays a major role in upbringing our children, which we realized long back also, and today's date also. From here, now, of course, storytelling is a very, very effective of communication, we know. Now, even Mr. Ravindran had just asked the questions, the same question to Deepa. Now, PR, of course, you have to tell a story, and not on a serious note, especially when you have to tell a story to the media. You definitely do your storytelling, particularly when you have less of the content and good pointers with you. The pitch is very shaky, so you have to do some stupid storytelling also. I want to ask you, Naresh, you've been in the PR business. How effective or whether it is at all effective in crisis communication?
Absolutely. Now, I would like to ask you a question. After Deepa and Rituparna, in the last 100 years, who's been the greatest communicator? Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the half-naked fakir. According to me, he was the greatest PR man and the greatest communicator. We had another great communicator called Hitler, but he relied on propaganda, and Gandhiji relied on communication, effective communication. And what were the elements of effective communication? First was, whenever there's a crisis, act quickly, chori chora or whatever that incident was, continuously communicate. Then rely on truth and transparency. Whatever he did, whatever his experiments with truth were there, they were all out there for everybody to see. He built credibility. Then he also reached out to all his stakeholders, including his so-called enemies. He sold the idea of India to Indians. What fantastic communication, you tell me. Can anybody be a better communicator than that? Sorry, Deepa, sorry, Rituparna. So in crisis communication, I would like to float this idea of Gandhigiri. And how did, in Rourkela Steel Plant, how did we adopt it? Earlier, what used to happen was whenever there was an incident or accident, the PR chief would duck under the table, get stuck in the lift, would smoke endlessly in the toilets or washrooms and all that. He would disappear, no communication. Because he didn't have, he couldn't say what he wanted to say because his hands, legs and mouth, everything was tied. So we decided, no, we are going to indulge in Gandhigiri. So now what happens is whenever there's an incident, suppose somebody has met with an accident has been electrocuted in the blast furnaces. So now what we started doing was we started issuing a statement across the media, social media plus traditional media, print media, electronic media, that a person whose name is R. Kumar, J. Asthana R. Kumar, has been electrocuted. His age is 36, my actual age, and he has passed away. He's survived by 2 kids, his wife. He's a native of Udan Khatola Nagar or wherever. And his local residence is this. The managing director has expressed deep anguish at the untimely death of R. Kumar. And he has also promised that whatever help can be extended to the family of R. Kumar will be done immediately. And he has also constituted an inquiry committee. And then what we started doing was, okay, once this note goes, an offer letter is normally issued to the wife, offering her a job in the steel plant. So that process also, that release also used to go. So we would follow it up. Now, what was the advantage of this? This was, we were being truthful, we were being transparent, and we were communicating immediately, and we continued communicating. Gandhigiri, full on. The advantage was, earlier what used to happen was, right on the front page itself, Rourkela Steel Plant, safety is ignored, blah, 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 the unions coming on full on, and, criticizing us, blasting the hell out of us and all that. And then the media running after us. Now also the unions would give their statement, but our statement would also come that RSP has been doing this, will continue to do this. So it was a much more balanced coverage. So we were actually telling a story the Gandhigiri way. And that in today's times is extremely important because you cannot hide the truth right now. Because of the proliferation of different kinds of media, you cannot. And what you cannot hide, why the hell should you? And so this is what we have been following, and the results have been really, really very good. And we have also built up trust and credibility because we have reached out to the media in this manner. You can clap.
Yes, especially during crisis communication, one should never stay quiet for sure, and also hide truth. That is one of the, that's a mistake which many corporates or organizations do. I fully agree with you. One should not.
But
Now,
is this
of course, we
speaking
have,
because you are like Mr. India now. Kabhi sunai nahi deti, kabhi dikhai nahi deti.
So wear a red sunglass. I really can't help it. I don't know. There's a problem with the network today. Okay. So, okay. So now we have already spoke on the onboarding process, which Ritu also highlighted how to do it. Now, I want to ask you, you are from a corporate. Now, how important is effective communication, storytelling, in the form of storytelling in developing a culture in the organization, ushering in a renaissance, maybe forming a new culture in the organization, because we all talk about rules, regulations, mission, visions, but very few organizations we talk about culture, like we know Tata culture, like that. How important is it,
Yeah,
and how
great question.
effective is
Yeah,
it rather?
yeah, great question. Thanks. Uh, Let me tell you a story now. Not the kind of Deepa story, or the Rituparna story, a more staid, dull, drab, dreary story. In 2002, Rourkela steel plant was in the pits. The market was absolutely crumbling down. The situation was really bad. It was very, very sluggish. Our products were not being sold. The cost of production was very high. The quality was quite pathetic. And uh, the employee morale was very low because of all these reasons. And worst of all, we had a union which was very, very militant and was extremely aggressive and was beating the hell out of management. And because management was underperforming or the organization was underperforming, nothing much could be done. We had a new managing director. So he knew that he couldn't change many of these things, the market and the high cost of production, it would take time. But one thing he could do, he could bring together the employees, get them together, get their strengths together, and create some kind of a renaissance or some kind of a revolution. So he started this at a time when Rourkela Steel City was called a dead city, because if you don't have Rourkela Steel Plant succeeding, then there's nothing else in Rourkela, right? So what did he do? He started a mass contact exercise, MCE, in 2002, I think April 18th or something. Here we had 500 employees, I mean, both executives and non-executives, in a huge auditorium. And there the managing director would address them and they would ask him questions and give suggestions. We then had around 16,000 employees. Many times it used to happen that in the entire career of 30, 35 odd years, the employee would never get a chance to even, see the managing director, let alone talk to him one-to-one like this in an auditorium. So that was a big high. And then his suggestions being taken and feedback given. This was something incredible. And then over a period of time, we got those suggestions and we decided that it'll be the non-executives who would be making certain presentations. And in those presentations, again, we were very transparent. We said that this is the position of the company, this is the bottom line, these are the issues, maintenance problems, dipping market, customers are upset with us, blah, blah, everything out there. And the employees coming up with their suggestions and all. So slowly and surely, this thing started working like magic. The employees started getting more and more involved. We used to have a pledge taking. Sometimes people say that taking pledges and all, what it's really too, it's tokenism, but it doesn't always happen. If you've got 500 people standing together and saying that they are committed to the organization and they will never do anything which will harm the steel plant and they will take it forward. And the fundamental message that was there was, guys, if you survive, the plant survives. If the plant survives, you survive. We are all in it together. All for one, one for all, three musketeers, Alexander Dumas. So this kind of thing really, really worked, wonders. And slowly and surely, like I mentioned, the steel plant came back on almost an even keel and started doing, it started exhibiting, or rather, we started declaring profit. And this exercise, even now it's continuing 18 years down the line. It is still continuing every Wednesday. Earlier, it used to be 3 times. I have gone with the managing director to anchor the program after taking tips from Anandita on how to anchor in the middle of the night at around 10 o'clock or in the morning at 6 o'clock. Can you imagine? That was the kind of commitment. 18 years, half my life, this particular program has been continuing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Excellent. Excellent, Ramin. And, taking from like building up the credibility, which an organization can do in terms of building up a culture. So, as I mentioned in my intro, we have seen in advertisement world today that instead of a static ad or just selling the product, a storytelling happens, So, I mean, the product company, they want to build up a credibility. They want to sell their values more than the product. I mean, through the values, what they want to say. What is your opinion in that? Will it go a long way? Will it really be effective? I hope it will not, the ROI will be exactly how they have planned their targets. What is your view on that? How do you market a product through storytelling?
Yeah, I would say that I would go beyond this, make it more, if you can call it ambiguous or whatever, esoteric. Sorry. So I would say, why not? Why market only a product? You can market a concept. You can market an idea. Now let me go back to the time, 30 years before I was born. Again, 1960 August uh, issue of Harvard Business Review. There was an article called Marketing Myopia. I hope you guys have read it. If you've not, please Google and read it, by Theodore Levitt. So then there used to be a kind of a fascination with the concept that if you create the best mousetrap, the entire world will rush to it. This was told by I think uh, some philosopher. I'm forgetting his name. Emerson. Emerson told this, so everybody believed it. Now, what Levitt said was that your customers are not looking for better mousetraps; they're looking for fewer mice. So the essence was, find the need and fill it. Don't go for technology, go for the customer, because the customer is the beginning and the end, not the technology. He gave an example of American railroads. They were crumbling when the airways came because railroads thought that they were in the business of running rails. But they were not in the business of running rails, they were in the business of transportation. The need was transportation. They did not wake up on time. They could not become lean and thin and lean and mean and smart and all that. And airways just took over. The same thing happened in India when television happened. Everybody thought it was a small, idiot box and small screen, and nobody came to it and all. None of the great film stars and all that, because they thought it was the size of the screen and the where you are going to watch it, sitting at home eating karela sabzi or going to this thing, film, the cinema with popcorn and all that. Amitabh Bachchan came, I think, then, and he turned it upside down again. Television suddenly became so popular, and now you have web series and blah 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 and all that. So what was television doing? It was filling a need for entertainment. What were the films doing? They were filling a need for entertainment. So you look at the need and try to fill it. So when we are telling stories as storytellers, let us find out what the audience want, and try to cater to that particular need. As corporates, we need to look at from customer has to be the king and will continue to be the king. The emperor, the Badshah, the empress, sorry, in case you accuse me of being sexist, and the Begum and everything else, So it starts and ends with the customer. Every corporate story has to be like that, whether it's a concept or a product.
Thank you, thank you, Ramin. I mean, it's absolutely rightly you have pointed out selling a concept. Not only that, selling credibility, selling your values. In fact, and it has to be authentic for sure, credible. Because in fact, we have seen that many film stars or celebrities who used to do endorsements just for money, now they are more value based. Many are saying that if you don't use it, we will not go and sell it. Even for products of like fairness cream and all, as Hindustan Liver also changed their name from Fair and Lovely. So many heroines, they have backed out saying, no, we are not going to, it's very racist, so we are not going to sell a product like this. So absolutely brilliant, Ramin. Thank you so much. Thanks for getting our special guest today for speaking in this. And of course, any particular questions to Ramin, Jacob?
Yeah, ma'am. We have a question from Lahiri. How
Yeah.
much effective is storytelling at the time of crisis in an organization?
I think I've answered it in some way, but I would say
Already
that
answered.
it
Yeah.
is extremely, extremely effective because through that medium of storytelling, you can explain the crisis, you can explain how the crisis to be tackled, and how you can get these guys on the same page, playing for the same team, not scoring goals against each other.
Okay. So one more question from Devina. If storyteller does not enjoy narrating a funny story, how should the storyteller make his story captivating? He
If he
says,
doesn't
children.
enjoy, he should go home if he's not at home. Because according to me, the fundamental thing of anything in life is to enjoy it. Whether it is telling stories or gardening or singing ghazals to your wife, like I sometimes do. If you don't enjoy it, then don't do it. Because you
So,
can't force humor.
okay.
I think the maestros here would agree with me that you can't force a style or a technique, especially in storytelling.
Yeah, Philip Joshua, a question from Philip Joshua. I have read articles that storytelling plays good role in healing. Good role in healing.
In what?
Healing,
Healing.
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 Healing, of course,
Yeah.
of course. I mean that is one of Risha's books. I can recommend Macher Jhol and so many other books by so many other writers and all. Yes, stories heal, and they heal like hell. Pardon the alliteration.